The Galactic Archive floated in perfect silence, a crystalline sphere suspended in the void between stars, holding every documented fact the Council of Aligned Worlds had collected over 40,000 years. Dr. Kellan Cross stood before the central database terminal, his reflection ghosting across the holographic display as amber data streams flickered past his tired eyes. He had been searching for 3 months straight. Behind him, archival curator Veshtala clicked her mandibles in what passed for Threxian impatience. Her 4 eyes blinked independently, 2 watching Kellan and 2 monitoring the access logs to the prohibited section. Human Kellan, this obsession borders on violation. The extinction records are sealed for a reason, yes, yes. Kellan did not turn around. His fingers moved across the haptic interface with practiced precision, each gesture pulling another fragment from the restricted archives. Every species has theories about the Kethrak. The Dominion thinks a supernova wiped them out. The Hive Collective believes they ascended to another dimension. The Confederation claims they never existed at all, just propaganda to scare children. All acceptable theories, Veshtala chittered nervously. Why do you search for a different truth? Because I found their last transmission, Kellan said quietly. And it was addressed to Earth. The curator's bioluminescent patches flared bright yellow, surprise, fear. Impossible. Earth was pre-contact during the Kethrak extinction event. Your species was barely beginning the Industrial Revolution. Kellan finally turned to face her, and his expression made Veshtala take an involuntary step backward. There was something ancient in his eyes, something that did not belong in a 32-year-old xenoarchaeologist. That is what makes it interesting, curator. The most feared predator species in galactic history, the apex hunters who terrorized a quarter of the known galaxy for 15 centuries, sent their final words to a primitive planet on the far edge of nowhere. I want to know why. The holographic display chimed. Access granted. Veshtala's mandibles clacked in distress. How did you? You should not have clearance for. I am very good at my job, Kellan interrupted, his attention already locked on the unfolding data. And I have friends in low places. The Kethrak extinction file materialized before them, a 3-dimensional cascade of information that had been hidden from public record for 9,000 years. Veshtala watched in horrified fascination as the truth began to unfold. The Kethrak had been magnificent in their horror. 3 meters tall, exoskeletal armor harder than starship hull plating, 6 limbs capable of tearing through reinforced bulkheads, sensory organs that could track prey across entire star systems. They had built an empire on fear and bone, conquering 47 worlds before the Council had even formed. No weapon could stop them. No defense could hold them. They bred in darkness and hunted in silence, and they never, ever showed mercy. Then, in the span of a single galactic year, they vanished. Every Kethrak world went silent simultaneously. Every hunting party, every colonial outpost, every war fleet gone. The Council had sent investigation teams that found cities intact but empty, ships drifting with no crew, weapons still charged but abandoned. No bodies, no evidence of struggle, no clue what could have possibly eliminated the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever known. Until Kellan found the transmission. Play it, he commanded. The audio file crackled to life, translated by the archive's linguistic processors. The voice was harsh, grating, layered with harmonics that suggested multiple vocal chambers. It spoke in the Kethrak war tongue, a language that had been dead for 90 centuries. To the world called Earth, the 3rd planet of the Yellow Star, system designated Sol. We are Kethrak, masters of the hunting dark, devourers of worlds, eternal predators. We have heard your signals, weak and primitive though they are. We have studied your transmissions, your radio waves carrying stories of your species, your nature, your history. We have decided to come for you. Your world will be ours. Your species will be prey. We are coming. We are always coming. Nothing stops the Kethrak. Veshtala's bioluminescence had gone completely dark. This is why the file was sealed. If Council knew Kethrak had targeted Earth before extinction, diplomatic complications would be catastrophic. Kellan held up one hand for silence. There is more. The timestamp shows this transmission was sent, then 3 weeks later, the Kethrak sent a second message. He had spent 2 months breaking the encryption on the second file. The Council had buried it deep, wrapped it in security protocols that would have stopped anyone less desperate, less driven. But Kellan had been obsessed with the Kethrak since childhood, since the night his father had told him bedtime stories about the monsters that used to hunt among the stars. The second transmission began. The same harsh voice, but different now. Strained. The harmonics breaking, fragmenting. To whoever finds this record. We made an error. We did not understand. The humans are not prey. They are not what we thought. We came to their world in stealth, as we always do. We hunted in their cities, took specimens, and studied their defenses. They have no natural armor. They have no claws, no venom, no regeneration. They are weak, fragile, soft. We thought them easy. We thought. The voice cracked, something that should have been impossible for a Kethrak. They do not stop. When we take one, 10 more come searching. When we kill the 10, 100 more arrive with weapons. When we destroy the 100, thousands more adapt, learn, and evolve their tactics. They do not fear us. They hunt us back. They track us through methods we cannot understand. They set traps we cannot predict. They are relentless, patient, coordinated. We have never encountered a species that hunts the hunters. We have never faced prey that becomes predator. Kellan felt his heartbeat accelerate. This was it. The truth that had been hidden for 90 centuries. We tried to withdraw. They followed us. They had no starships, no understanding of faster-than-light travel, yet somehow they found our vessels. They learned our technology by dissecting our dead. They reverse-engineered our weapons from battlefield salvage. In 3 of your Earth months, they went from primitive to dangerous. We retreated to our home systems, thought ourselves safe. We were wrong. The transmission degraded, filled with static and interference. When the voice returned, it was barely a whisper. They followed us across the stars. They did not use ships we could detect. They infiltrated our worlds using methods we still do not comprehend. They did not attack in rage or fear. They were calm, methodical, and efficient. They turned our own biology against us, released a pathogen tailored to Kethrak genetics. It spread before we even knew we were infected. It does not kill quickly. It makes us docile, passive, and removes our need to hunt. We are still alive, but we are no longer Kethrak. We are something else. Something lesser. The humans called it the Behavioral Extinction Protocol. They called it mercy. Veshtala had collapsed into a seated position, her limbs trembling. Mercy? They wiped out entire species and called it mercy. They did not kill them, Kellan said softly. They just made them something other than monsters. The transmission continued one final time. We do not know where they are now, these humans. Our neural degradation prevents us from caring enough to search. But we leave this warning for any species that might follow our path. Do not go to Earth. Do not threaten the humans. They are not what they appear. They are not prey. They are patient, death wearing a pleasant face. They are extinct delivered with a smile. We were the galaxy's apex predators for 15 centuries. The humans made us irrelevant in 3 months. If you are listening to this, if you have found this record, understand one truth. Humans do not just survive threats. They make threats extinct. We thought we were hunters. But humans are something far worse. They are problem solvers. And they solved us. The transmission ended. Silence filled the archive for a long moment, broken only by Veshtala's labored breathing and the quiet hum of the crystalline sphere's environmental systems. Kellan closed the file and turned to face the curator. His expression was unreadable. Now you know why I had to find this. My father told me stories about the Kethrak when I was young, about the monsters that came to Earth and disappeared. Everyone thought they were just stories. But he knew. He was part of the team that followed them home. Veshtala's eyes widened in horror. Your father was one of the exterminators, Kellan finished. That is what they called themselves. The team that made the galaxy safe by making the Kethrak safe. He died 10 years ago, but before he did, he told me where to look. He told me the truth was buried here. He told me that one day, someone would need to know what humans are capable of when properly motivated. Behind them, the archive's main entrance opened with a pneumatic hiss. 6 figures entered, 5 wearing the formal robes of council security, 1 wearing the insignia of the High Arbiter himself. Veshtala clicked in panic. Human Kellan, what have you done? Kellan smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. I have solved a problem, curator. You see, someone on the council has been making threats against Earth. Trade sanctions, territorial disputes, veiled suggestions of military action. They think humanity is young, weak, and technologically inferior. They have forgotten what we are capable of when threatened. So I have reminded them. The High Arbiter approached, his three faces all wearing expressions of barely controlled fury. Dr. Cross, you have violated 12 separate archive protocols, accessed sealed historical records, and threatened the diplomatic stability of. I have released the Kethrak extinction file to every major news network in the Allied worlds, Kellan interrupted calmly. In approximately 30 seconds, 3 billion people across 200 planets will learn exactly what happened to the galaxy's most dangerous predators. They will learn that humans do not negotiate with bullies. They make bullies extinct. The High Arbiter's center face went pale. You cannot, the panic, the political fallout. That's exactly what you deserve, Kellan said coldly. My species spent 90 centuries being good neighbors, playing by council rules, accepting second-class status because we were the youngest members of the galactic community. But you forgot something important, Arbiter. We are not just the youngest members. We are the species that solves problems. And right now, corrupt council politicians threatening Earth are a problem. Veshtala watched in amazement as the High Arbiter, one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, took an involuntary step backward. What do you want? The Arbiter whispered. Kellan's smile widened. I want you to remember what we are. I want every species that even thinks about threatening Earth to know what happened to the last species that tried. I want the galaxy to understand that humans are patient, kind, generous, diplomatic, and absolutely, unequivocally capable of ending any threat we face. He walked toward the exit, pausing beside the Arbiter. My father used to say something before he died. He said humans are the kindest species in the galaxy, right up until you give us a reason not to be. The Kethrak gave us a reason. Do not make the same mistake. The archive doors closed behind him, leaving chaos and revelation in his wake. The emergency session of the Council of Aligned Worlds convened 6 hours after Kellan's release of the Kethrak files. Representatives from 214 species packed the assembly chamber, their various forms of agitation creating a cacophony that the translation system struggled to process. Ambassador Lyra Chand stood at the human delegation podium, perfectly composed while the galaxy fell apart around her. She had known Kellan was going to do something drastic. He had sent her a coded message 3 days ago, just 2 words. Problem solved. Now she understood what he meant. The High Arbiter called for order, his 3 faces all displaying different emotions: anger, fear, resignation. This council recognizes Ambassador Chun of Earth. Explain your government's position on Dr. Cross's unauthorized revelation. Lyra took her time responding, letting the silence build, letting every species in the chamber feel the weight of what they had learned. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm, almost gentle. Dr. Cross acted independently. Earth's government did not authorize his actions. However, we will not apologize for the truth. The chamber erupted in overlapping shouts, demands, and accusations. Lyra waited for the chaos to subside naturally, her expression never changing. Representative Thalmax of the Vrexian Dominion rose from his seat, his massive form causing smaller species to scatter. The human reveals classified information that has been sealed for 90 centuries, creates galaxy-wide panic, and Earth refuses to apologize? This is an act of diplomatic warfare. No, Lyra replied quietly. This is a reminder. You seem to have forgotten what my species is capable of. Several council members have been pushing for sanctions against Earth, territorial encroachment on our colonial systems, and demands for technology transfers backed by threats of force. You treated us like children who could be bullied into compliance. Dr. Cross simply reminded you why that is a catastrophically bad idea. The Vrexian ambassador slammed his appendage against his podium. You threatened the entire council with extinct history? The Kethrak are gone, their pathogen cannot be replicated, your so-called exterminators are long dead. You have no leverage. Lyra smiled, and several species in the front rows visibly flinched. Representative Thalmax, you are making the same error the Kethrak made. You assume that because we appear peaceful, we must be weak. You assume that because we have not shown our teeth in 9,000 years, we have lost them. Allow me to correct that misunderstanding. She tapped her podium interface, and a new holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber. It showed a genetic sequence, elegantly simple, horrifyingly effective. This is the Kethrak pathogen, Lyra explained. The behavioral extinction protocol. It was not developed by the original exterminator team. It was created by my grandmother, Dr. Sarah Chun, working in a basement laboratory in Geneva while the Kethrak were still hunting humans in Beijing. She was a virologist, you see. A problem solver. The exterminators just delivered her solution. The chamber had gone completely silent. My grandmother kept detailed records, Lyra continued. Complete synthesis instructions, genetic modification parameters, delivery system specifications. She also created variants. 93 different versions, each tailored to a different species biology. She called it her insurance policy. The files were sealed in Earth's Strategic Defense Archives, accessible only in case of existential threat to humanity. The High Arbiter's 3 faces had all gone the same shade of pale. You are bluffing. No one would create such weapons and keep them secret for millennia. Are we bluffing? Lyra asked mildly. Because from where I stand, you have 2 choices. Option 1. You accept that Earth is a full and equal member of this council, deserving of respect and fair treatment. Option 2. You call my bluff, and we find out whether I am telling the truth. She paused, letting the moment. I should mention that if I am telling the truth, and you call my bluff, you will never see the pathogen coming. That is how it works. By the time you realize you have been exposed, your entire species will be in the behavioral modification phase. You will not die. You will just stop caring about conquest, about power, about whatever made you think threatening Earth was a good idea. You will become something gentler. My grandmother called it enforced enlightenment. Ambassador Vix Terra of the Consortium of Free Traders rose, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into rainbow patterns. This is madness. You cannot hold the galaxy hostage with the threat of species-wide behavioral modification. We are not holding anyone hostage, Lyra corrected. We are simply asking to be left alone. Earth has no imperial ambitions. We do not seek to dominate or conquer. We just want to exist in peace, to grow, to explore, to trade fairly. But if you push us, if you threaten us, if you make the mistake of thinking we are easy prey, then yes, we will solve you the same way we solved the Kethrak. Not because we are evil, but because we are exceptionally good at making problems go away. Representative Thalmax had sat down, his aggressive posture deflated. The Council will need to verify these claims. We cannot simply accept. Oh, you are going to verify them right now, Lyra interrupted. She tapped her interface again, and a new image appeared. It showed a Vrexian diplomatic compound on one of Earth's moons, specifically the quarantine facility where a minor trade dispute had resulted in several Vrexian officials being detained for customs violations. Except they were not detained anymore. The hologram showed them walking freely around the compound, smiling, laughing, helping each other with menial tasks. Their body language was relaxed, cooperative, utterly unlike normal Vrexian behavior. They looked happy. 3 days ago, Lyra explained, someone released a low-dose variant of the pathogen into the air circulation system of that facility. Do not worry, it was not me, and it was not Earth's government. I suspect it was Dr. Cross, testing his grandmother's old formulas. The Vrexians in that compound have not been harmed. They have just been adjusted. They no longer care about dominance hierarchies or territorial disputes. They are experiencing what humans call contentment. The effect is permanent. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives screamed for security, for medical teams, for immediate evacuation protocols. The High Arbiter tried to restore order and failed. In the midst of the pandemonium, Lyra stood perfectly calm, waiting. It took 20 minutes for the shouting to die down. When it finally did, the High Arbiter fixed all 3 of his faces on Lyra with an expression of exhausted defeat. What do you want, Ambassador? The same thing we have always wanted, Lyra replied. Fair treatment. Equal representation. An end to the sanctions proposals. Removal of Vrexian ships from our colonial borders. A formal apology from Representative Thalmax for his delegation's threats. And a galaxy-wide acknowledgement that Earth is not a target, not a resource to be exploited, and definitely not prey. She leaned forward, her voice dropping but somehow carrying to every corner of the chamber. We are humans. We are problem solvers. We are patient, kind, generous, diplomatic, and absolutely willing to modify your species' entire behavioral paradigm if you push us far enough. The Kethrak learned this lesson the hard way. They went extinct not because we are cruel, but because we are thorough. We do not half-solve problems. When humans decide something needs to change, it changes completely and permanently. Representative Thalmax rose slowly, his massive form somehow seeming smaller. The Vrexian Dominion apologizes for its recent aggressive posturing toward Earth. We did not understand the full implications of our actions. Apology accepted, Lyra said graciously. And just to be clear, the Vrexians in the quarantine facility will recover completely in approximately 6 months. The low-dose variant is temporary. Consider it a demonstration, not a permanent solution. My grandmother believed in proportional responses. Annoy us, and we will adjust your behavior temporarily. Threaten our existence, and we will solve you permanently. It is all very logical, really. The High Arbiter looked like he had aged a century in the past hour. This council will need time to process these revelations. Ambassador Chun, does Earth have any other surprises we should know about? Lyra pretended to consider the question. Well, there is the quantum entanglement communication network we have been using to coordinate our colonies without your knowledge. And the stealth ship technology we developed by studying Kethrak vessels. And the genetic modification programs that have tripled human lifespan over the past 3 millennia. And the artificial intelligence research that everyone thinks we are not doing, but we absolutely are. Should I continue? Please do not, the Arbiter said weakly. Then we have an understanding, Lyra concluded. Earth will continue to be a peaceful, cooperative member of the Council. We will share technology when it benefits everyone. We will trade fairly and honestly. We will help with disasters, mediate conflicts, and contribute to scientific advancement. But we will not be pushed, threatened, or treated as inferiors. Because while we are many things, weak is not one of them. The Kethrak learned that. Today, you learned that. Tomorrow, the entire galaxy will know. She gathered her documents and prepared to leave the podium, then paused. Oh, and one more thing. Dr. Kellan Cross has been offered a position as Earth's chief historical advisor. He will be helping us decide what other sealed files might need to be revealed for educational purposes. I hear there is a fascinating story about what happened to the Zeltharian Empire when they tried to annex Mars. Perhaps we will share that one next month. Or perhaps not. It really depends on how well this council treats us going forward. The chamber remained silent as Lyra walked out, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. Behind her, 214 species sat in shocked stillness, each one recalculating their relationship with humanity, each one suddenly understanding why the most feared predators in galactic history had sent their final warning to a primitive planet on the far edge of nowhere. 3 weeks later, Kellan sat in a small cafe on Luna Station, watching Earth rise over the lunar horizon. Lyra joined him, carrying 2 cups of coffee that cost more than most species' monthly salary. You caused quite the stir, she said, sitting down across from him. Kellan accepted the coffee and smiled. Grandma would be proud. She always said the best defense is making sure no one wants to attack in the first place. You know there are going to be consequences, Lyra warned. Some species will see this as a threat. They might try to develop countermeasures, weapons, and preemptive strikes. Let them try, Kellan said calmly. That is the beauty of being human. We do not just solve problems once. We solve them permanently, adapt to new challenges, and make sure old threats never rise again. The Kethrak thought they could hunt us. The Council thought they could bully us. Everyone keeps making the same mistake. Which is? Thinking that because we are kind, we must be weak. Thinking that because we prefer peace, we cannot wage war. Thinking that because we smile and cooperate, we have forgotten how to be dangerous. Kellan took a sip of his coffee, savoring the taste. Humans do not forget. We just choose when to remember. Lyra looked out at Earth, that beautiful blue marble spinning in the darkness. Do you think we are the monsters now? Like the Kethrak were? No, Kellan said thoughtfully. Monsters destroy because they enjoy it. We modify because we have to. There is a difference. The Kethrak were extinct because they could not change. We made sure of that. But we did not make them suffer. We did not torture them. We just made them something other than predators. That is not monstrous. That is pragmatic. And if someday we become the threat? Lyra asked quietly. If humanity becomes the species that others fear, what then? Kellan met her eyes, and his expression was utterly serious. Then I suppose someone will have to solve us. That is the nature of the universe. Problems arise, and something adapts to fix them. For now, we are the fixers. Maybe someday we will be the problem. But until that day comes, I am going to enjoy my coffee, do my job, and make sure that no one in this galaxy ever forgets what happens when you threaten Earth. They sat in comfortable silence, two humans watching their homeworld turn beneath them, guardians of secrets that kept the galaxy safe, inheritors of a legacy that began with monsters in the dark and ended with the systematic, permanent, terrifyingly efficient elimination of threats. Somewhere in the Galactic Archive, sealed files waited to be discovered. Stories of other species that had challenged humanity and learned, too late, that humans do not just survive. They solve. They adapt. They modify. They make problems extinct while smiling politely and offering coffee afterward. The galaxy had learned its lesson. For now, that was enough. But Kellan kept his grandmother's files close, just in case someone needed a reminder. Humans are many things: kind, generous, diplomatic, and patient. But they are also, when necessary, the kindest extinction event the universe has ever seen. And that, Kellan thought as he finished his coffee, was exactly how it should be. Subscribe to my channel for more sci-fi stories.